The Elorian capital looked like a city made of light. Towers rose into the sky like frozen rays from a sun. Bridges of crystal curved across deep gardens and shining ponds. Airships moved slowly between spires, quiet as birds. Even the streets had a soft glow, as if the ground remembered starlight. On this day, the docks were full of guards and noble watchers. Everyone was waiting for one ship. Rumors ran through the crowd like wind. Some said a pirate would land. Some said an old enemy. Most said a dream from the past would become real. The ship that came was small and plain. It was human-made. Metal hull, heat scorches, a patchwork of repairs. Next to the crystal spires, it looked humble. It looked honest, too, in a way the glittering towers did not. The ship landed with a small hiss. The ramp came down with a creak. At the top of the ramp stood a figure of soft white light and pale crystal. She was tall, graceful, and strong. Faint patterns of color rippled under her skin like dawn under ice. The scanners by the dock sang at once. Imperial guards looked at their readouts, then at each other. Messages flashed through the palace net. A single voice, calm and old, spoke from the dockmaster's console. Elorian, royal signature, detected. Lineage: Emperor Veros. Identity: Princess Serathel. The crowd became still. It was true. The lost princess had returned, but she was not alone. In her left hand, she held a small boy. In her right hand, she held a small girl. They were human children with dark hair and bright eyes. Their hands were tight around her crystal fingers. They looked afraid and curious and brave, all at once. The youngest noble in the front row whispered, "Humans." The guard muttered, "Heretics." A very old counselor closed his eyes. He remembered the day the princess had vanished, 20 years ago. Then he looked at the children and felt a soft ache that had nothing to do with politics. Serathil walked down the ramp with calm steps. Her eyes took in the towers, the banners, the shining guards, the cold faces. She had left this place as a young star. She had returned to something new, something warmer. She stopped at the bottom of the ramp. She spoke in a clear voice. "I am Serathil of House Veros. I request safe passage to the Hall of Dawn." The commander of the guard, a figure in teal armor with a crystal crest, lifted his hand. "By imperial law, Princess Serathil, you are to be escorted to the Emperor. You will be scanned for contamination."
Ah!
The boy at her side pressed closer. Serathil bent slightly. "It is all right," she told him. "I am with you." A gentle light came from her chest when she said those words. It was a very soft glow, not Elorian static, not raw energy. It was warm. The girl looked up and smiled. She touched her mother's crystal forearm, and the glow grew a little brighter. Some of the guards took a step back. From the edge of the dock, a human officer stepped forward. He wore a worn uniform, gray and practical. A single silver stripe ran down his sleeve, clean but faded. He had sharp eyes and a tired smile. This was Captain Elias Vance, a small liaison in a big empire. He was here to represent the Human Trading Guild, nothing more. Or so the palace had told him. Now he looked at the princess and the children. He knew at once who she was, even before the scanners had sung. Years changed faces, but they did not change the way a person held themselves in the world. He had seen that stance before in a mining colony where the rain tasted like iron and hope. He had seen her stand like that between a sick child and a broken. Airlock, quiet, steady, unafraid. He stepped in front of the princess with care, palms open. "I am here as a witness," he said to the guards. By interstellar charter, liaison officers may observe when identities are disputed. "There is no dispute," the commander said. "The princess is identified. She will be taken to the Emperor." Elias looked back at Serathil. "Do you choose to go with them?" he asked her, his voice low. Serathil's eyes softened. "I choose to face what is mine to face," she said. "But I will not be separated from my children." The commander paused. He received orders in his ear. He nodded to himself. "By decree, the children will be taken to the Sanctum of Heirs for evaluation." "No," Serathil said. The single word carried weight. It was not loud. It was final. The commander's tone cooled. "Princess, the sanctum is safe. They will be cared for." "I know the meaning of the word care," Sarathiel said. "It does not include cages," whispers broke out. Noble faces tilted, curious, disapproving, troubled. A senior counselor moved closer to the dock edge. He raised a slow hand. "Princess," he said, "the law requires—" "What does the law require?" Sarathiel asked. "When the law is not ready for what is new?" Silence again. The commander made a slight gesture. A thin unit of guards stepped forward, respectful but firm. Elias took a breath. He looked at the commander. "Sir, with respect, these are children." The commander turned his head. His eyes were the color of cool ice. "With respect, liaison, these are anomalies." Elias felt his jaw tighten. He had seen enough. He had served with many empires, and he had seen this tone before. He took one step further in front of the children, not blocking the princess but making his position clear. "Then let your emperor see them in the open," he said. "If the empire is proud of its light, it should not fear soft hands." A few in the crowd snorted, but a few others, very few, looked down at their own hands as if seeing them for the first time. Sarathiel put her hand on Ilias's shoulder. "Thank you," she said. It was a simple thanks, offered without drama. It was enough. "Escort them," the commander said. "Do not separate them. Any resistance will be met with force. Move." The walk through the city became a procession. The princess and her children walked at the center. The guards formed a clear path. Elias walked at the edge of the circle, close enough to help, far enough not to push. The nobles followed at a distance like a tide of glass. Citizens watched from balconies and bridge rails. The glow of the streets felt colder than before. The Hall of Dawn stood on the highest platform. It was shaped like a rising star, with long wings of crystal. The doors were taller than ships. When they opened, a tone rang through the city, low and firm, like the memory of a bell. Inside, the air was cool. The floor was a mirror of soft light. At the far end stood the throne, a wide seat that seemed carved from a comet's heart. Upon it sat Emperor Veros. His face was calm and severe. He looked like a statue until his eyes moved, and then he looked like a storm held in a crystal jar. "Sarathiel," he said. "Father," she said. They stood across the hall. Two bright points with a long history between them. No one else spoke. No one dared to move. "You were lost," the emperor said. "I was," Sarathiel said. "And then I was found." "By whom?" he asked, although he already knew. "By them," she said. And she looked down at her children with something like joy. The emperor's eyes flicked to the children, then back to her. "You have changed," he said softly. "I learned," she replied. "Humans taught me. Life taught me." "You were raised in the light," he said. His voice grew heavier. "You were shaped for our song. You were made for forever." Sarathiel's eyes shone. "Forever is empty if it never learns to hold anything," Noble gasped. A counselor whispered, bold words. The emperor lifted a hand slightly, and the hall quieted again. "Explain," he said. "Explain the children." Sarathiel knelt so she could speak with her children without bending the world in half. "This is Kiri," she said, touching the girl's shoulder. "This is Tovin," she said, touching the boy's hair. "They call me Mother. I call them mine." "They are human," the emperor said. "They are," Sarathiel replied. "And they are Elorian too," as she spoke. The children opened their small hands, and a faint light gathered in their palms, shy at first, like fireflies. The light grew a little stronger, then faded again as they giggled. The chuckle echoed in the great hall like a bell of warm water. A murmur spread through the nobles. Some faces softened. Others hardened. The emperor's tone sharpened. "By what right did you bind our light to mortal clay?" Sarathiel stood. "By the right of love," she said, simple as gravity. The commander of the guard felt the weight of that word. He looked at the emperor, waited for the order he knew must come, the order to seize, to separate, to cleanse. Instead, the emperor asked another question. "And the human who stands with you?" He meant Elias. Why is he here? Elias straightened. He had wanted to stay invisible. But there are moments when invisibility is a way of lying. He bowed once, small and respectful. I am Captain Elias Vance, liaison, he said. I stand here because I have seen the princess help my people. I stand because I owe her a truth. And what truth is that? The Emperor asked. That humans are not perfect, Elias said. We are loud. We are quick to fear. We are quick to hope. But when we say a person is ours, we mean we will stand by them, even when it is hard. He paused, then added, especially when it is hard. The Emperor listened without blinking. You wear no weapons, he said. I have words, Elias replied, and a spine. A few nobles almost smiled despite themselves. Others frowned deeper. One whispered, arrogant. The Emperor turned his gaze back to his daughter. You will undergo rites, he said. You will be cleansed of human stain. Sarathiel's light dimmed, then steadied. I will undergo no rite that calls love a stain. The guards shifted. The commander felt the moment tipping. He spoke low into his channel. Around the hall, vents slid open, hidden doors prepared. Patterns in the floor changed shape. The palace had defenses for almost everything. It did not have one for a child's hand tightening in fear. Kiri looked at her mother. Are we safe? She whispered. Sarathiel touched the girl's cheek. You are with me, she said. Tovin looked at Elias. Are you scared? He asked. Elias smiled, small and real. A little, he said. Being brave does not mean not being scared. It means standing anyway. The Emperor's voice rose, not loud but absolute. Seize them, he said. The command ran through the hall like a blade. The guards moved. The vents hissed. The patterns in the floor brightened. The nobles stepped back in a ripple of silk and light. Sarathiel made no grand gesture. She did not shout. She simply took Kiri and Tovin's hands and pulled them close. She turned slightly so her body stood between her children and the oncoming force. The glow at her chest grew. It was warm, not searing. It was gentle, not weak. The first wave of guards approached with shields. They were careful. This was a princess. They tried to form a bubble around her. Their shields hummed as they expanded. Elias moved with them, not attacking, only staying near the children. A guard shoved him. He stumbled but did not fall. Careful, he said. There are kids here. Move aside, the guard said. Then move gently, Elias answered. The shields pressed in. The light around Sarathiel met them. The two fields touched. There was a soft sound like rain on glass. The guards pushed harder. Sarathiel's glow thickened. It flowed like honey, not a hard wall, but a living veil. The commander raised his hand. Increase field strength, he said. The shields brightened. Sparks of static danced where they touched the veil. The air smelled like a storm. Kiri's eyes widened. Mama Tovin gripped his mother's hand tighter. I don't like this, he said. I know, Sarathiel whispered. Breathe with me. They breathed together, in and out, slow and steady. With each breath, the glow responded like a tide. The guards pushed. The veil flexed. It did not break. The Emperor stood, tall and terrible. Do not harm her, he said. Do not harm the children, but bring them. A second wave of devices emerged from the floor. Harmonic spears. They were made to tune Elorian fields into silence. They thrummed with a cold note. Ilias saw them and swore under his breath. He looked up toward the far gallery, where he knew the signal relays were. He had a small communicator implant. He touched it once, sending a pre-coded pulse. It was a simple signal. Almost nothing on the palace net, a small fish in a wide sea. It said, "Help me." Now he had no idea if anyone would hear it. He sent it anyway. The harmonic spears took aim. The note rose. The veil around Sarathiel trembled. It was like listening to someone sing while a machine tried to crush the song into a flat line. Sarathiel closed her eyes. She remembered a rain house on a wet rock where the sky was always gray. She remembered human hands covered in oil and laughter. She remembered a lullaby she had learned in a language that did not know crystal, only skin and breath. She began to hum. It was a human tune, simple as a heartbeat. Kiri and Tovin hummed with her. Their small voices sounded like hope in a large room. The veil changed. It was no longer only Ilorian light. The human rhythm braided through it. The harmonic spheres wavered, confused by a pattern outside their pattern. The commander frowned. "Retune," he said. Elias stepped forward again. A guard moved to block him. Elias did not try to fight. He spoke, fast and soft, all at once. "Look at them," he said. "They are a family. Have you ever seen a family like that?" "I haven't. Not in your empire. Not in mine. Are you going to be the one who tears that apart?" The guard hesitated for the first time. "Please," Elias said. "You can follow orders and also be kind." The guard's eyes flicked to the children, then to the commander. Law pulled one way. Heart pulled the other. It heard above the hall. A soft chime sounded. Barely anyone heard it. A small ship, human-made, slid into high orbit. Then another, and another. They did not decloak with a roar. They simply arrived, like neighbors at a door when they see smoke. On the palace net, operators sent alerts that felt like gnats. Human signatures, civilian, no weapons locked. Unusual density. Requesting channel access, denied. They requested again, polite and steady, like rain. On the floor of the Hall of Dawn, sweat beaded on Elias's forehead. He kept his voice calm. "Commander," he said, "if you keep pushing, someone will make a mistake. Someone will get hurt. That will stain this day forever. Please, give them space. Give them air." The commander looked at the Emperor. The Emperor's face was cut from ice. Then the Emperor's eyes flicked to the children again, to their small hands, to the way Kiri's lip trembled even as she tried to be brave. A heavy beat moved behind his eyes. He remembered another day, long ago, when a tiny Seraphil had been afraid of the dark under a lake bridge. He had lit the water with a glow to show her the fish. She had laughed. He had felt human for a moment. He crushed the memory down. He was an emperor, not a father with soft hands. "Lower the harmonic spears," he said. "But hold the shields." The commander obeyed. The cold note faded. The veil steadied. Seraphil opened her eyes. She looked at her father for a long time. She saw the war in him. She did not gloat. She did not plead. She just stood, the warm glow around her like a promise made of light. From the gallery to the right, Counselor stepped forward. She was old, older than the hills of this world. Her voice carried the weight of long service. "Your Majesty," she said, "this is a moment the recorders will hold for 1,000 years. How we act will teach our children what we value." "We value order," another counselor snapped. "We value wisdom," she answered. "We value purity," said a third. "We value truth," she said. Her eyes turned to Seraphil. "Princess, tell us the truth. How did you live? Who cared for you? Who made you safe?" Seraphil spoke like a river speaks when the ice melts in spring. "I crashed on a hard world," she said. "It had old mines and cold winds and people who had little. A human engineer found me. His name was Jonah. He saved my light with his hands and a wire and a prayer. He taught me to laugh when my voice was still broken. He took me to the settlement. The humans there fed me. They taught me to fix, to grow, to sing. I worked with them. I learned their names. I learned what they valued. And when I fell in love, I did not ask the stars for permission." The hall held its breath. "Jonah died," Seraphil said, and the glow dimmed in grief. "He died in a tunnel collapse as he tried to hold the beams long enough for the children to crawl out. He taught me that the shortest life can be the bravest. He left me with 2 lights to carry, so I carried them." Her hand tightened on Kiri's. She ran her palm over Tovin's hair once, slow and tender. The boy leaned into her touch. The old counselor's voice softened. "Thank you," she said. That is truth. The Emperor's hands gripped the arms of his throne. The crystal creaked. He felt the hall slipping from his control like sand. He began to raise his hand to give a new command. At that exact moment, the great doors of the hall opened again. A breath of outside air moved in. It carried the faint scent of engine oil and human coffee and 1,000 quiet hearts. A single human courier stepped through, unarmed. He wore a patch that said Mender's Guild. His face was pale. He looked like he had never stood in a hall like this before. He bowed clumsily and lifted a small, battered pad. "I bring a message for the Emperor," he said, "and for Princess Sarathil." The guards moved to stop him, but the Emperor lifted a finger. "Let him speak," he said, curious in spite of himself. The courier swallowed. His voice shook. He steadied it. "My guild is outside," he said. "Not to fight, to witness, to help if asked. We are the ones who fix broken things. We were there when she fixed us. We would like to return the favor." The hall hummed, shocked and alive. The old counselor's lips pressed together, as if she were holding back a smile. The commander stared at the courier as if he had arrived on the back of a comet. Elias closed his eyes. He did not pray often. He gave thanks anyway. Sarathil looked up at the throne. Her voice was steady. "Father," she said, "you can choose many paths today. You can choose fear, and you will be obeyed. You can choose pride, and you will be cheered. Or you can choose to see. You can choose to listen. You can choose to let your heart be as brave as your crown." The Emperor rose to his full height. The hall seemed smaller around him. He looked down at his daughter. He looked at the human courier. He looked at the children. For a long breath, nothing moved. Then he lifted his hand. Every guard straightened. Every noble leaned forward. Elias felt the air freeze in his throat. The Emperor opened his mouth to speak. And every light in the hall flickered at once. Far above the city, in orbit, the pattern of small human ships shifted. They formed a wide ring, not tight, not threatening, like joined hands around a campfire. Their beacons pulsed in a slow rhythm. It was the rhythm of a human lullaby. It matched the hum Sarathil had used to steady her children. The palace net tried to filter the signal. It failed. The lullaby drifted into the hall like a breeze at dusk. Kiri laughed, a small, surprised sound. Tovin's shoulders lowered. Sarathil's eyes shone. The Emperor's face changed by a hair's breadth. Not softer, not weaker. Only more human. "Hold," he said, his voice cutting through the song without breaking it. "No one moves. No one fires. No one touches the children." He turned his gaze on Sarathil. "You will stand here and listen to judgment." Sarathil straightened, the glow wrapping her family like an embrace. "We will stand," she said. Elias looked from the throne to the doors, from the guards to the courier, from the shields to the circle of ships above. He could feel the whole empire holding its breath. The Emperor lifted his hand higher. The final gesture, before a decree. The hall trembled. A crack of old crystal split along the floor. A slow, thin line reaching toward the throne. It made a sound like a whispered secret. Everyone turned to look. From deep below the Hall of Dawn, something vast stirred. An ancient engine, or older law, waking in its sleep. The Emperor's eyes widened. Not with fear, but with memory. In the glow around Sarathil. Kiri squeezed Tovin's hand. Tovan squeezed back. Elias shifted his weight, ready to move, ready to shield. "Ready to speak? By the light of Aloria," the Emperor said. Voice ringing, and the world above and the world below held their breath together. As the next word formed on his tongue and the old hall waited to hear what kind of future it would be asked to hold, the throne room of the Alorian Empire was silent, except for the soft hum of living crystal. The Emperor still stood, his hand raised halfway through a command that had frozen in the air. Every guard waited for a single word. Every noble waited for the tone that would tell them whether to kneel or to run. The floor beneath the Hall of Dawn was glowing faintly now. Lines of ancient power sliding through the crystal-like veins of light. The glow reached Sarathil's feet and then climbed the pillars. It was not dangerous yet, but it was waking something older than any of them. The Emperor's voice came at last. "Enough," he said. "Hold your weapons. Let the chamber breathe." The guards obeyed. Their shields lowered a little. The light inside the hall softened. Sarathil stood still with her children beside her. Her daughter Kiri looked up at the ceiling that sparkled like a net of stars. Her son Tovin hid his face against her leg, frightened by the strange sounds under the floor. The Emperor took one slow step down from his throne. The crystal stairs lit under his feet. He looked neither cruel nor kind, only tired. "The law says a royal line must remain pure," he said. "The law says no foreign blood shall carry our light." "The law was written by those who feared change," Sarathil replied quietly. "And you would break it?" "I already did," she said. "And the sky did not fall. The light still shines." The old counselor who had spoken before moved forward. "Your Majesty," the princess, "speaks truth. The ancient codes were made in an age of war. The humans have not harmed us. Their ships wait in peace above our world." Another noble shouted, "Peace is a mask. They hide behind pity until they strike." "They are not hiding," Elias said from near the gate. "They are waiting because they trust her, because they believe you will listen." The Emperor's eyes turned to the human officer. "Why should I listen to a species that lives less than one of our seasons?" "Because we live quickly," Elias said, "and that means every choice matters. When we care completely. When we stand together." The Emperor studied him for a long moment. Then he looked back at Sarathil. "You have become more like them than like us." Sarathil smiled sadly. "Maybe, but look at what that means. I have learned warmth. I have learned to forgive. You built an empire of light, but forgot the heat that gives light its meaning." The glow under the floor brightened. Cracks of gold light ran up the pillars to the ceiling. The hall shuddered slightly. The Emperor frowned. "The core of Eloria awakens," he said. "It senses conflict. What will happen?" Kiri whispered. "It will choose a side," Sarathil said. The Emperor turned sharply. "You know of it." "I studied it when I was a child. You told me once that the core responds to harmony. If our light sings true, it sleeps. If it hears anger, it rises." He nodded slowly. "And if it rises fully, it purges everything that carries discord." "Then stop fighting," Sarathil said. The commander of the guard moved closer to the Emperor. "Sire, the human ships are still forming patterns. I suggest immediate action before they encircle the planet." "Us. They are not forming weapons," Elias said quickly. "They are forming a symbol, a ring of protection." The Emperor looked at him again. "Protection for whom?" "For her children," Elias said simply. "And for you, if you would let them." A deep sound rolled through the floor like a heartbeat. The core was listening. The light turned red for a moment, then white again. The Emperor stepped closer to his daughter until they stood only a few paces apart. "You risked the life of a world for your defiance," he said. "I risk it for truth," she answered. The two lights, his cold silver and her warm gold, met halfway between them. Touching and swirling like two rivers trying to understand each other, the old counselor spoke softly. "Perhaps the core is not the one that must choose. Perhaps it is you, Majesty." The Emperor closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were brighter. "What would you have me do?" "See," Sarathil said. "Not as Emperor. As father." He looked at the children again. Kiri's small face shone with fear and wonder. Tovin was holding a tiny crystal toy he had picked up from the floor. Its glow matched the core's rhythm. The Emperor felt a strange pull inside him, a memory of holding a smaller Sarathil long ago. "I do not know how," he said quietly. "Then learn," she whispered. The hall trembled again, louder. One of the guards stumbled. Light poured from the cracks. The core was almost awake now, feeding on their emotions. Elias shouted, "If it rises, will it destroy the city?" "Yes," Sarathil said, "unless it hears something pure." "Like what?" he asked like a song. She knelt with her children and began to hum the same human lullaby she had used before. The tune was soft, almost fragile. But it carried warmth that filled the air. Kiri joined in, her voice high and clear. Tovin followed a beat later, off-key, but brave. Their harmony floated up to the ceiling. The Emperor stood frozen. The song was simple, 3 notes repeating again and again, but it carried peace. The core's red light began to fade back toward white. The nobles looked around uncertainly. A few joined the hum without knowing why. The guards lowered their weapons. Even the commander, proud and strict, whispered the rhythm under his breath. Elias felt something sting his eyes. He hummed too. The Emperor's chest ached with a feeling he had forgotten. Slowly, he began to sing. His voice was deep, shaped by centuries. When it joined the lullaby, the hall blazed with light. The core answered. The tremors stopped. The floor healed its cracks. The glow turned soft and golden, then slowly faded into rest. When silence returned, the hall was brighter, warmer. Sarathiel looked up. "You sang," she said softly. The Emperor let out a long breath. I remembered what it is to be alive. No one spoke for a long time. Then the Emperor said, "Call the council." "We will write a new law," gasps echoed. "A new law?" The nobles repeated. "Yes," he said. "A law that says light can live in many forms, that the fire of life may join with any heart that carries honor." The commander bowed his head. "Then the children?" "They are heirs," the Emperor said. "Both of them." Kiri blinked. "Does that mean we live here now?" The Emperor smiled, a rare and fragile thing. "If you wish," he said. Tovin grinned. "Do you have places to climb?" Elias laughed before he could stop himself. "He's his father's son," he said. Sarathiel smiled too, though tears shone in her eyes. "Thank you, Father." "Do not thank me," he said. "Thank them. Thank humanity for reminding us what our light is for." Outside, the ring of human ships received a new signal from the planet. It was a single word: peace. They answered with a burst of white beacons that spread across the night like a crown of stars. The courier in the doorway whispered into his pad, "Mission accomplished," and wiped his eyes. The old counselor turned to the Emperor. "What will you call this new age?" He looked at Sarathiel and the 2 children. "The age of shared light," he said. Asterisk, that evening, the capital city changed. The towers that had always shone cold blue began to glow with warmer shades: amber, rose, gold. People gathered on balconies to watch the colors shift. The story of the princess and her human children spread faster than any command. In the streets, no one spoke of taint or purity. They spoke of songs and courage. They spoke of the moment the Emperor sang. Sarathiel and Elias walked together through a quiet garden while the children chased glowing insects among the flowers. They will never forget this day, Elias said. "Neither." "Will I?" she replied. "Will you stay?" "For now," she said. "The children should know both worlds. They should know where their songs come from." He nodded. "And if the Empire forgets again?" "Then we remind them again," she said with a smile. "That is what humans do best, isn't it? Keep trying," he chuckled. "That's us. Stubborn, until the stars themselves give up arguing." The Emperor found them there an hour later. He was dressed not in royal armor, but in a simple cloak of white light. He looked smaller, more human. "I have signed the decree," he said. "Tomorrow the council will confirm it. You and your children are free citizens of the Empire. The humans will have full rights of travel and trade." "Thank you," Sarathiel said. He looked at Elias. "And you, Captain, are no longer liaison. You are ambassador if you accept." Elias blinked. "I'd be honored." The Emperor placed a crystal token in his hand. "Carry this. Wherever it shines, our people will know you speak with my voice." Kiri ran up to the Emperor and held out a small crystal she had found earlier. "It's cracked," she said. "Can you fix it?" The Emperor took it gently. "Some things are better when they show their cracks," he said. He held it to the light. The fracture glowed like a vein of gold. "See, it still shines." Tovin tugged his sleeve. "Grandfather," he said shyly, trying the word for the first time. The Emperor froze. then laughed a deep, clear laugh that rolled through the garden like music. "Yes," he said. "Grandfather." Sarathel watched them and felt peace settle into her like dawn after a long storm. Days passed. The humans departed, leaving a few ambassadors and traders behind. The Empire sent envoys to Earth, bearing gifts of living crystal and songs that shimmered with light. For the first time in 1,000 years, the two species worked side by side. Sarathel spent her days teaching at the Celestial Academy. She spoke to young Elorians about courage and kindness, about how strength without compassion turns to dust. The students listened. Some wept. Elias worked with engineers to build joint colonies where human and Elorian crafts could blend. He called the first one Jonah's Haven, after the man who had once saved a lost princess. The Emperor sometimes visited quietly, wearing plain robes. He liked to watch the children play among the crystals. They called him Star Grandpa, and he pretended to dislike it. One evening, as the sun of Eloria dipped behind the towers, Sarathel stood on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. Elias joined her. "Do you ever miss Earth?" she asked. "Sometimes," he said, "but I think humanity's best part is never tied to one planet." She nodded. "It's in the heart, in the fire," he said. She smiled. In both, above them, the core sent a gentle pulse through the world, not warning, but song. It had learned the new harmony, half human rhythm, half Elorian tone. The whole planet glowed for a heartbeat as if smiling. Years later, the historians of both worlds would tell the story many times. The day the lost princess returned, holding hands with her two human children. The day the Emperor sang. The day the core of Eloria chose peace over purity. They would call it the fire in the crystal. And whenever someone asked what it meant, an old teacher somewhere, maybe Sarathel herself, would answer in simple words, "It means that light is only beautiful when it remembers to be warm."